Good morning, everyone. Thanks for listening. This is Brother Bob with the Aniana Church of Christ. Let me just give you something to think about, and if you'll allow me for just a few minutes, let me tell you a story. A story about two very different men. Many years ago, Al Capone virtually owned Chicago. Capone wasn't famous for anything heroic. He was notorious for bringing the Windy City everything from bootlegged booze to prostitution and murder. Capone had a lawyer nicknamed Easy Eddie. He was Capone's lawyer for a good reason. Eddie was very good. In fact, Eddie's skill at legal maneuvering kept Big Al out of jail for a long time. To show his appreciation, Capone paid Eddie very well. Not only was the money good, but Eddie got dividends as well. For instance, he and his family occupied a fenced-in mansion with live-in help and all the conveniences of the day. The estate was so large it filled an entire Chicago city block. Eddie lived the high life of the Chicago mob and gave little consideration to the atrocities that were going on around him. Eddie did have one soft spot, however. Eddie had a son that he loved dearly. Eddie saw to it that his young son had the best of everything: clothing, cars, and a good education. Nothing was withheld, price was no object, and despite being involved with organized crime, Eddie even tried to teach him right from wrong. Eddie wanted his son to be a better man than he was. Yet despite all that he had, there were two things he could not give his son: a good name and a good example. One day, Easy Eddie reached a difficult decision. Easy Eddie wanted to rectify the wrong he had done, so he decided he would go to the authorities and tell the truth about Al Scarface Capone, clean up his tarnished name, and give his son some semblance of integrity. To do this, he would have to testify against the mob, and he knew that the cost would be great. So he testified, and within a year, Easy Eddie's life was ended in a blaze of gunfire in a lonely Chicago street. But in his eyes, he had given his son something much more important and paid for it with the greatest price that one could pay. Now let me tell you a story about a different man. World War II produced many heroes. One such man was Lieutenant Commander Butch O'Hare. He was a fighter pilot assigned to the aircraft carrier Lexington in the South Pacific. He's the subject of many articles that document his outstanding service as a pilot during World War II. He was presented with the Congressional Medal of Honor for his actions against the Japanese in defending the USS Lexington. He was the section leader of Fighting Squadron 3 on February 20th, 1942. According to an article on aviationhistory.com, 6 Grumman Wildcats were sent into the air to protect the Lexington from Japanese bombers. O'Hare and his wingman spotted the enemy planes first. The wingman's guns jammed, however, and the other 4 planes were too far away. So O'Hare faced off against 9 twin-engine bombers alone. He shot down 5 of them and damaged a 6th before the other U.S. fighters arrived. No enemy bombs made it to the USS Lexington. The Medal of Honor citation calls it one of the most daring, if not the most daring, single action in the history of combat aviation. For that action, Butch became the Navy's first ace of World War II and the first naval aviator to receive the Congressional Medal of Honor. O'Hare was killed in November of 1943 during the battle for the Gilbert Islands in the South Pacific. His hometown would not allow the memory of this World War II hero to fade, and today, O'Hare Airport in Chicago is named in tribute to the bravery of this great man. So the next time you find yourself in Chicago, at O'Hare International Airport, give some thought to visiting the memorial for Butch O'Hare, displaying a Grumman Wildcat like he flew. It's located between Terminal 1 and 2. So you might be asking yourself, as you listen to this, why the stories about the two men? Butch O'Hare was Easy Eddie O'Hare's son. Eddie O'Hare chose a path to give his son a good name and may have very well altered the course of his life. He set the proper example even though he had made many, many mistakes in his life. The Bible says in Proverbs chapter 22, verse 1, a good name is to be chosen rather than great riches. I believe that Eddie O'Hare understood that principle, and so he made a choice to try to salvage the name that had been associated with the crime mob in Chicago. And that good name was passed on to a man who did heroic things. And now every time someone passes through the city of Chicago, they see that name at O'Hare International Airport. Let's make choices that bring honor to our name. Thanks for listening, everyone. This brief thought has just been something for you to think about today. Have a great afternoon.